our next info session and last info session for today. And this info session is going to be dedicated to master's programs in business analysis, economics, and mathematics. And today, during this session, we are going to introduce 3 of our programs. We will start with Quantitative Economics, and then we are going to have a presentation about Actuarial and Financial Engineering, and then we will introduce our new program that is going to start first admission next year, which is called Entrepreneurship in Economic Policymaking. So I would like to remind you that we will have a Q&A session, and that at the end of this info session, and you will be able to leave your questions to us at any point, even during the presentations. You can do it in WorksUp by clicking Q&A button, which is next to the info session, or you can also leave your comments in Facebook if you are watching the streaming or YouTube. And right now it's time to introduce our dear speakers that are here with me on this stage. And here I have Jan Maso, who is going to be the first one who is going to introduce Quantitative Economics. Then I have Meelis Karik, who is going to talk about Actuarial and Financial Engineering. And then here with me I have Kadri Ukrainsky. And then online I have Ot Barna, who are going to have a discussion about our brand new program in entrepreneurship in economic policy making. So right now, I guess it's the right time to start with our first presentation. And Jan, please, the floor is yours.
Okay. Hello, as time is limited, let's get down to business. So I'm the program manager of the Quantitative Economics program. And here is also the link to the website. We have lots of information there, but if you can't find answers to your questions, please always feel free to write us. Starting from where is Estonia, capital Tallinn. We are a very small country, as you can see, official language Estonian, but a small country, the advantage is that people can speak foreign languages very well, which is also good as an international student. Estonia is member of European Union and NATO, a fact that is very important to stress also right this moment, and also I saw my colleagues communicated this to our prospective applicants. Currency euro and very highly ranked in various international rankings. Why Estonia? We always say it's one of the most digitally advanced countries in Europe. Like it concerns, like we do voting in internet in national elections. And which also means that there is very strong entrepreneurship, also lots of employment opportunities for our students. Companies like Skype, Bolt, Wise, Playtech, Pipedrive, so on. Actually, some of my course mates from bachelor studies are CEOs or key investors in these companies. Due to this development, of course, Estonia is becoming more expensive, but still it's fairly affordable living cost, for instance, compared to some Western European countries. Residence permit allows you full-time working, and it's very peaceful. Like some students told, what is the first words that comes into mind? We're talking about Tartu or Estonia. Quiet. University of Tartu is quite an old one, founded in 1632 by King Gustav Adolf from Sweden. So sometimes we say it's the second oldest Swedish university. We are kind of a medium size of university, but lots of international students. Here I remember, say like 90 different countries. It might be already more than 100 different countries here. And we have in total 27 degree programs in English. So for instance, you are interested about economics or mathematics or business, but still there are very many other things that you can study here in English. It's also quite highly placed in different university rankings. You can check details for it. For instance, one of the highest ranked countries in highest ranked universities in Eastern Europe. Now, depending on the ranking, like in top 5 to top 1 in different rankings. And we also have a very modern working environment and studying environments, because all these programs that we talk today are situated in a brand new Delta building. You can see the picture here. So it's both economics and business, computer science, mathematics, statistics, and technology, robotics, which also creates lots of opportunities for integration. Like that, for economic students, it's very simple to take, let's say, mathematics courses, or statistics courses, or computer science courses. And also different companies are situated in Delta Center, which also creates lots of opportunities for cooperation with business and internship opportunities. And lots of, in addition to nice lecture rooms, there are also lots of student area for studying. Like here is pictures certain boxes that also students can rent for meetings or studying simply, or group work and so on. And also dormitories, that also many students have told that they were quite surprised about the quality of our dormitories, and at the same time very affordable price. Like some students told that in London or Paris you may need to pay like 5 times more and have a much worse quality. So that's also an advantage of Tartu, and also very close to study area. Like that, maybe you can wake up 15 minutes before the lecture and you can still come from dormitory to lecture. Quantitative economics, as said, its main goal is to prepare highly qualified analysts. I first mentioned government agencies because very much our program was created due to the call from our central bank, Eesti Pank, saying that we really need people with this kind of analysis skills. But there are also lots of opportunities in financial sector, fintech, data science, because generally we talk about the data science and everything related to data is that is growing area, but especially also in Estonia, there are lots of job opportunities over there. But naturally, you can also think about international organizations and continue towards PhD, and very many our graduates do it. Everything is taught 100% of English, but of course there are lots of opportunities to learn other languages here as well. So it's a relatively new program, but we always try to listen to student feedback and update things and so on. Admission. Some of the information is similar across programs. Basically, deadline is March 15. But even if you're very late, it takes very little time to do the application. Given the situation currently in Ukraine, probably it's already decided that deadline will be prolonged for Ukrainian candidates. But for all others, probably still the same deadline applies. We will make decisions by May. As to study places, at some places students have to pay, but in many programs there are tuition fee free places, and in our programs there are 15 of these. So you don't have to make a separate application to study without tuition fee, but all applicants will be considered, and simply best applicants will be offered tuition waiver scholarship. We have evaluated applicants based on motivation letter and average grade of bachelor studies. You can check the details. That is, if we ask written essay and short video CV, nothing complicated. It shouldn't take much time. Admission requirements, bachelor degree. Even if you graduate this spring, no problems. Check the details. And as to prerequisite courses, we don't ask actually previous studies in economics, but previous studies in mathematics and mathematical statistics. In total for 15 credits. If you are unsure whether you satisfy the requirements, you can always, the easiest thing to do is just send your transcripts to me as a program manager. I will check these and then communicate to you. And finally, check English language proficiency requirements. Shortly, even if you studied previously in English, that may be sufficient, but need not to be sufficient. So please look into it. As there are many different possibilities how to satisfy English language requirement. It's not just TOEFL test or IELTS test. There are many other different possibilities. Stipends, I already mentioned tuition waiver scholarships. There are stipends from Minister of Foreign Affairs for some students, from University of Tartu Foundation, Dora Plus. Also, we have some sponsors of the program like Swedbank, our biggest commercial bank, that also offers here some awards. And finally, practical training in different institutions. Also in Estonia, but it's also do practical training, let's say, some elsewhere in Europe. And for this purpose also to get the Erasmus Plus scholarship. And that is very short the program structure. Naturally, we start from compulsory courses, let's say microeconomics, macroeconomics, macroeconomics, econometrics courses, different software courses, but then there are also specialization possibilities. Let's say special topics economics, let's say international trade, or financial and actuarial mathematics that also Meelis next to me will talk shortly. And you can also take study abroad semester in some other European university. Like many of our students have studied in Italy, Germany, France, but also some other countries. And finally, also master thesis is where you can choose a topic that you like. That's also part of the specialization possibilities. And we actually have lots of time for writing some master thesis. So basically, last semester of studies is mostly dedicated to master thesis. As I short about these courses, I don't have time to read all about these, but just to summarize that most of them are relatively long courses, so that there should be really time to go through the material. And what is special is that there are lots of econometrics, statistics, data science, which is also important because that is the area where there are lots of job opportunities. We provide also study materials, textbooks, and mostly use standard English language textbooks that are really used in the best universities around the world. So because that's one way how to ensure international standards. Of course, lots of work is done also in computer labs, but also students have the opportunity to download and install some of the required software in their own computers. Let's say about MATLAB, where universities acquire campus license, and students can actually install the required computer in their own required software in their own computer. Of course, most of our teaching staff are from University of Tartu, but also from Eesti Pank, our largest central bank, sponsoring the program, and also from elsewhere. And every year we also do some short mini courses by professors from abroad, from different universities. Like now in this week we have a course on experimental economics. That is one very emerging new field. And this is stuff, I think, mostly relatively young people, easily reachable, and that we generally say that in Estonia all this hierarchy and distance is very low. So I think we are quite informal in communication and so on, and should be easy to talk to lecturers. And as the people, we're quite international also in terms of teaching stuff, and many of our teaching staff come from abroad, have completed PhD in different European universities and so on. And we also quite recently have hired several new people to support our teaching staff. And I also tried to add more information to the homepage. You can check the details at the homepage. And we don't have time to talk about everybody, but just a few pictures here. No, Kadri is also here, but many other people. Other things I already mentioned about the internship, which is a compulsory part of studies, but also students very much like it because it might be a stepping stone to the labor market. Like maybe some students took internship, but then employer says that, but maybe you can stay at work here. And it could be central bank, commercial bank, think tanks, data science companies. Actually, now we also established connection with OECD, the Organization of Economic Cooperation Development, to have internship opportunities in OECD in Paris. We have a relatively small group of students, but really very international. No, naturally for us, catchment area is in a way former Soviet Union, especially like Ukraine, Georgia, Russia, so on. But it's really students come all over the world. Africa, Western Africa, for instance, United States of America, Western Africa, Asia Pacific, Latin America, so on. I already said that because we situate in the Delta Center, it's very easy to take courses from other fields like mathematics, computer science, that are very natural fields for economists to also to study. I already mentioned the Erasmus exchange opportunities and also career opportunities. I have a short talk. And as to these, it could be quite different one, either banks, financial sector, think tanks, multinational companies, academia. Very many our graduates do PhD, but no, it's not just still very high percentage do PhD, but still majority goes to business sector. And examples of employers like Microsoft, Google, we think that these IT companies, still even economist works there. There are many Estonian startups like Taxify, Wise, like somebody from Africa knows that in Africa, maybe people don't know what is Estonia, where is Estonia, but people know about these companies like Bolt, who are very much present in Africa, for instance. But here also in Estonia, it's a back office, and you can work in these data science jobs and design the algorithm and so on. But also banks are very important employers generally, and everybody's working. I didn't see people having problems to find work, and even during COVID times, people say that, look, I didn't like this job, I took another job. It seems it's really easy to get jobs, and generally also in Estonia, it's quite tight labor market, and employment opportunities are quite good. And you can see a little bit also at the homepage where we had a little bit of stories about our alumni, what they do here. And here I just make some kind of examples about Katerina from Ukraine, who studied in Taras Shevchenko. Then he worked in Luminor, but now Katerina works in one of our startup companies. Tanel from Estonia, who first, I think worked also at Swedbank, and now as a data scientist in another company. And Yelisaveta from Russia, who did previous education at Moscow State University, but now works as a data scientist in Taxify. Actually, Taxify's old name now is Bolt, so everything is changing very quickly. And I think that's all, and it seems to be quite good timing, where usually I'm very bad in this, but this time it seems to be a bit better. So we say the best place to study in Estonia and leading in the Nordic countries.
Thank you very much, Jan, for your presentation and for covering so many topics within 15 minutes and for being in time. Yes, so we are also going to send you all of the slides, so you're going to be able to check all of the links that Jan was talking about and all of the alumni stories and graduate stories yourself when you get the slides. So please, if you're interested to apply to Quantitative Economics, don't forget to leave your questions right now, and then in the end of this info session, we are going to answer them. And right now is the time to move to our next presentation, and this presentation is about Actuarial and Financial Engineering. And Melis, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you. So hello from me. I am the Program Director of Actuarial and Financial Engineering. And because Jan told quite a lot about studying in Estonia, this is what I actually was hoping for, so I can be going in a much easier pace. So this is why I actually divided my presentation into two parts. One of them is mainly concentrated on the Actuarial and Financial Engineering program, and the second part is about Tartu, Estonia, University of Tartu, which is already mostly covered, so I can skip lots of slides there. Anyway, so the first part, or the main part, will be covering the questions like why would you join the program, what would be the learning outcomes, what's the structure, and also what's most urgent right now, what are the admission requirements. So what's the Actuarial and Financial Engineering program for? So what we do, we prepare specialists for financial sector, banking, and insurance industries. So this is quite similar to what Jan told, but our aim is more concentrated on the math behind it. So we have more focusing on the knowledge of how things are done and how the methods are developed and such things. So the field of quantitative finance actually, and also the insurance parts, require quite a lot of mathematical understanding. So, and obviously the short link is very easy to learn. So the ut.ee FinMath, where you can find all kinds of details about the program. So why should you join? So first of all, as mentioned, the topics we deal with are quite attractive. The employers that are relevant or related to the program are quite attractive. So it's the work in banks, insurance companies, or some financial departments or analytics departments or modeling departments in several other companies. And also our staff is highly qualified, so we have done research, we have international experience, so this is gives also strong grounds. And as mentioned, so we are all situated in the Delta Center, so this is one of the most modern centers in the Nordic region, one of the newest buildings, the University of Tartu. So the learning outcomes of the program, are obviously related to what I told. So what you get here is the understanding of methods used in financial and insurance mathematics, then also the ability to apply those methods to create probabilistic and statistical models for quantitative analysis, and also to apply these methods for life insurance or non-life insurance. So it includes other fields like detailed fields like reinsurance and so on. So, and those are actually the main parts of the program. So it's called Actuarial and Financial Engineering. So the one part of it is the financial part, and the second direction will be the insurance part. Also, there are few main things like getting international experience is also possible. So there's a possibility to have one semester abroad. So it's sort of written in a program, and also there's a mandatory part is an internship in a company. So the structure of the curriculum, so we have a 2-year program, which means you have to pass courses for 120 credits, and the structure is divided into, say, 5 parts. The first module is the so-called preparation module, where you get the background. So the second one is, say, the main module or the core module, the specialty module, where you have all the core tools related to actuarial and financial modeling. Then you have an elective module where you have some more directed results into well, whichever tasks are more interesting to you. Then you have the overall optionals, and finally you obviously have to write the master thesis. So the first module, the preparation module, so it has some, say, general purpose courses, math statistics, statistical models, generalized linear models, time series, all the things that are required later on, where the theory or more applied theory is built upon. So and here you can see in the list of second module, or the core module, is some courses that are more insurance oriented, and the others are more finance oriented. And the elective module actually is quite wide, and it's becoming even wider every year. So there is a master seminar, which is a very last course, but also there are 2 possibilities to take the internship, which is called the professional practice 1 and 2, and some other additional courses. Plus, you have in the right column you see you can take electives from economics and also electives from computer science, and those are sort of the main directions you can go if you're interested more in the economics part or economic modeling, or if you're more interested in the methods, modeling, data science, and that part. And also the final thing is the mobility module, so you can actually have a semester abroad in this curriculum. Okay. So the submodule of economics, lots of courses here. So again, you can pick your choice depending on what's your interest in, what you like more. And similarly with computer science, there's a list of different courses about methods. The optional courses, this is just 6 credits about, well, take wherever. You can take them from University of Tartu, you can actually take them abroad, whatever. And ultimately, similarly to what Jan told about the quantitative economics, the final semester is mostly just concentrating on your master thesis. You just have full last semester. If you've done if you gone with a normal pace before, then you can easily just have the whole free semester for the thesis. So the most urgent topic right now, obviously, is the admission requirements, because the deadline is quite soon. So again, you need to have a bachelor degree because this is a master level program, but you don't need to have the the bachelor degree right now. It's sufficient if you have the bachelor degree by the end of July. So it's still okay. So and since we assume. Since the program is built upon the mathematics, we assume that you have some prior knowledge about mathematics. Also, probability and statistics are very, very useful. So about at least 24 credits there, and also since we in the modeling in practice we use some programming, it's good to have some background, or at least some understanding in algorithms or program languages in there as well. Just 6 credits. The English language proficiency is general, so these rules are general for most of the courses. So I'm not going into details here. You have the link if you want to follow that. And how we evaluate the applications. So one thing is your average grade before, so the GPA, which gives 40% of the final score, and then we have the motivation letter, which gives the 60% of the final score. And so in the motivation letter, so if you're going to write the motivation letter, so what we want to have there, so we would like to see the answers to 3 main questions. Why? So why are you interested in this program? Is it your first choice? So what's the program going to do to help you achieve your goals, and so on? So the second question is why you? So why are you a good candidate for the program? What's your background? What you have done before, and so on? And ultimately, just be a bit more specific. So do you have already any special goals in there? So are you more interested in financial side? Are you more interested in actuarial side? So have you thought about the area before? Something like that as well. And the evaluation criteria are pretty simple. So the main contribution comes from the fit between the background of a student and the background of the program. Then also the fit of the goals in the program, and also we look at the clarity and argumentation skills. So the tuition fee for the program is 500 euros per year. So and it covers the tuition and study materials, and we have 50 places in the program, but we also have a tuition waiver, and the tuition waiver is for 8 best applicants from European Union or European Economic Area or Swiss. So this is those applicants from there don't have to apply for tuition waiver separately. So this is automatically done. And and additional comment is if you get the tuition waiver, it also gives you some obligation that you have to study at almost normal pace, so you can't get too far behind. Okay, and so the deadline is in short. So the application system is already open. The deadline is in March 15, which is quite soon. The final admission results will be in the middle of May, and the next academic year will start at the end of August. So this was briefly about the program. Now a little bit I will also cover about studying here. So this is where we are. This red one there is Estonia. So since Jan mentioned most of them, I will skip quite a lot. So what's the strengths, or what are Estonians famous for? So the so-called e-Estonia, we are very digitalized. So this is also, we have lots of study materials. So most of the courses have e-support. So and this is also very, very helps you in your studies, definitely. So if you zoom in Estonia, so where we are located in Tartu, so which is a nice and quiet town. So it's a sort of combination the old heritage and also new and modern buildings. So in the upper picture we don't quite see delta building, so it's a little bit off the left side of the screen. So and the lower picture is the town hall square. Okay, so the university was founded in 1932. So it was reopened later on and also reorganized as a University of Tartu in 1919. So we have two general goals. One of them is serving as a national university, and second part is serving as an international university. So it's called the flagship of Estonian science. So we can see that based on several international rankings, we have quite high ranks and steady rise in the past years. So, and also, as mentioned, so one thing is the serving as a national university, another thing is serving as an international university. So we can see that we have quite a lot international students, and especially in the Faculty of Science and Technology. So if you come here, besides studying, there's lots of other things to do, extracurricular activities. We have nice student organizations. We have nice workshops, hackathons, other things. So a little bit about the institute. So the institute is the Institute of Mathematical Statistics is actually a successor of Faculty of Mathematics and Statistics, which was created already in 1967. So in 2016, those two institutes of a previous faculty were joined together in an Institute of Mathematics and Statistics, and so this is where we are, and we are all from 2020 situated in the same Delta building with computer science and economics. So the study environment in the Delta building, as mentioned, and so as presented 8 student residences, and 4 out of them are very, very close. All the Narvamante buildings and also the Raatuse building are very close to the Delta building. So, and the prices there are quite cheap, especially compared to the Western European prices. So, and finally, a short slide about all kinds of living costs. I'm not going over it. If you have time later on to pause it to check it. So it's things that might interest you. And if you have any questions, problems, if you want some additional information, just send me an email. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Melis, for your presentation, for also introducing not only the program, but also living in Tartu, social aspects, because studying at the University of Tartu, it's not only about studying, it's also about the social life as well. If you have any questions to Actuarial and Financial Engineering, please leave your questions in WorkSup, or you can also comment under our live stream in Facebook or YouTube. And then after the last talk, we are going to open Q&A session, and then we'll answer all of the questions. And right now, I'm going to give a floor to 2 of my colleagues, Kadri Ukrainsky and Ott Pärna, that are going to introduce our new program, which is Entrepreneurship in Economic Policymaking. So please, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. I'm very happy to have you here, and of course, who else should provide entrepreneurial program in economic policymaking than Estonians? Yeah, you heard that Estonian government is very tech savvy. We have a lot of advances in our public services, but also we are generally very entrepreneurial. So I think one can surely say, or already in the light of recent events, that we are quite startup-minded government as a whole. So I think we have a lot to teach to the world, and that is what we are going to do with the program. So before we talk more about the program, let me introduce myself first, and then give floor to Ott to introduce Ott. So I'm economic professor here in Delta Building, and my field is innovation policy. All my life I have dealt with practical issues, advising Estonian government, different ministries, economic affairs, education and research, but also OECD and European Commission. But last 3 years of my life, I have actually dedicated into changing an old university faculty into a new startup-minded, student-oriented, practical and active community. So everybody is talking about quiet Tartu life. So my life has been dedicated to disturb this quiet life and offer many different events and practical exercises, international collaborations, etc. So, and I'm very happy to introduce to you Ott. And Ott is the second professor who is teaching in the new program. So Ott, please introduce yourself.
Hello from my side. Hope you hear me. I'm in Italy currently. Sorry, not being present at the Delta Center, where I spent a lot of time while in Estonia. My name is Ott Pärna. I'm an entrepreneur and a visiting professor at the Delta Management School. And my focus is on innovation and entrepreneurship. And innovation and entrepreneurship in both the private sector, the third sector, or the NGO sector, as well as the government sector. I have a PhD in economics from the University of Tartu and a Master of Philosophy degree from Science and Technology Policy Research Center of the University of Sussex. The center was called SPRU. It's a main hub in Europe for science and technology policy research as well as innovation management. I've also studied in the University of Southern Denmark, as well as at the Lee Kuan Yew School of Public Policy in Singapore, at the Singapore University. My professional background is twofold, or threefold, I would say. I used to be innovation and technology policy expert at the Minister of Economic Affairs of Estonia. And later on, after coming back from England, I was the founding CEO of Estonian Development Fund, which used to be a state-owned venture capital fund as well as foresight unit. So we did different long-term economic policy studies for the future. And now, yes, I'm here partly at our center, at the Delta Center, and serving the Delta Management School. And also with Kadri, we have developed that program we are going to introduce to you.
All right. Thank you. So, as you probably have understood, this is not a typical student program we are looking for. So, to whom we are orienting this program and who we see as our students. So basically, if you have already a master program, then this program could serve you as a shortcut into the field. So you would have 1 year master program without doing another master thesis or other, general skills building subjects. So you will focus only on entrepreneurship, economics, and policymaking. So basically, if you have master program already and want to have a short program, this program is for you. Or alternatively, if you don't have master degree, but have bachelor degree and 5 years experience, work experience, then you also can apply, and we will evaluate your experience and decide based on that if you are fit for our program. What is also important to mention that this program, which is 1 year program, if taking all together, can be also taken in 3 different modules. And these modules are micro degrees, which give you some specific knowledge we will talk about a little bit later. And then you can also, maybe you want to learn some specific fields, then you can also have short modules as micro degrees. But I want to ask you, since you have had your whole life career in the public sector, so what kind of careers could our graduates pursue after they have finished this 1 year master program?
Okay, thanks, Kadri. Well, while developing the program, we had the future students in mind, their profiles and needs, as well as the overall changing and turbulent world around us, which is currently happening, and more widely as well. To put it into one sentence, when Entrepreneurship in Economic Policymaking program is an innovative, hands-on, practical one-year master's program for policymakers, practitioners, experts from consultancy business, as well as from international organizations. This is like to put it into one sentence. But more precisely, we are looking for today's and future public sector managers, top leaders as well. We look for middle managers in the public sector who are on the road to the top management positions. So it's a sort of a springboard for them. It can be a springboard. We're looking for policymakers and experts in the field of economic policy, industrial policy, innovation and technology policy, science and research policy. We're also looking for public sector professionals and managers who are taking sabbaticals, meaning year off, kind of re-educating yourself. Of course, experts and employees of different consultancy and auditing firms who are tackling public sector could be a useful program for them. Well, who else? Today's and future politicians, for example, who are dealing with economics and research and innovation policies in their countries. Then, of course, staff and experts from different international multilateral organizations, the European Commission, the UN, the OECD, the World Bank, the IMF, all of them could get useful input for their own career building through this program. And of course, today's and future managers and experts from different industry organizations. So we're also looking for people from the private sector who are dealing with the government or with the public sector from different angles. And of course, different managers, future managers of executive agencies, state foundations, state-owned enterprises. And as Katri said, as Kadri said, and myself as well, but we both have, and our team as well has background from the public sector from very many different angles, both working for the public sector as well as working with different consultancy companies and the multinational organizations serving the public sector. Then we kind of have quite good understanding what are the current challenges, especially that they are cross-disciplinary, they are not monodisciplinary, and we have developed the program around these challenges. So you are kind of a problem solver once you have finished our studies.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
But yeah.
Thank you.
To put it into theory, I can put it into theory as well. For example, if there is a troika model of innovation in the public sector, and actually, if you want something to happen in the public sector, you need kind of power promoter at the top level, you need process promoter in the middle level who knows how to do it. And then you need kind of technology promoter at the lower level. So, and the program is kind of suitable for all these layers and activities in between of them. Thanks, Kadri, I give back to you.
Yes, okay, thank you. So you started already to talk about the content, and actually let's talk about now about the modules that we have. As said, we have 3 modules, and I will start with describing briefly the first module. So every manager in a small country knows that you cannot do without understanding the bright, wide world and how things are organized there. So our first module is oriented into explaining you how the modern global governance works, what are international governance trends, how are different cultural aspects impacting our everyday world of policymaking, and maybe also we go a little bit in depth into monetary fiscal policy and markets. And what I want to say is that we take everywhere the economist's view. So we ask about costs and benefits, who is receiving what does it cost to produce all these services, how to manage in these international organizations, etc., etc. And how we plan to do it, of course, we will have textbooks, so you cannot escape textbooks in masterclasses. But we will also have Estonians and our international partners who have worked in high places in the World Bank, European Commission. We have one European commissioner on board, in IMF, etc. So you will actually hear firsthand how these organizations are working in practice, what are the policy challenges and governance trends firsthand from practitioners as well. Okay, Ott, what about the second module?
Well, the second module, we have called it Masterclass for Public Sector Entrepreneurs. So entrepreneurship is not a monopoly of a private sector. We deeply believe that it's something which needs to be placed also in the public sector. And as we said before, it's also a separate nano degree. So basically, you can, from our university, you can take a nano degree of called as Masterclass for Public Sector Entrepreneurs. But what does it consist? Well, we're talking about leadership, storytelling, public entrepreneurship as such. What does it mean? We are talking a lot about innovation in the public sector, how different case studies, what people have made, what leads to innovation in public sector, what prohibits it, etc. When we are looking at economic and industrial policymaking, of course, as this is the core of a program. When we look at risks and crisis management in the public sector, as well as different methods how to solve different crises, because the types of crises are different, and toolbox to solve these crises are also toolboxes have different tools inside of them to solve these different problems. When we're talking about experimental economic policy, what does it mean? Well, come and study. We will tell you what it means. Of course, we're talking about a lot about cross-institutional, cross-disciplinary management and leadership in the public sector. And that's why we're emphasizing so much the word leadership, because, I mean, if you're working cross-disciplinary, cross-institution, you can't really direct. You have to engage people, and you have to have a story to tell in order for others to join you or follow you. And then what else we are talking? We're talking about different economic policy and impact studies. This is a separate field for consultancy businesses, for example, as well as state auditors, for example. So, and then finally, practical case studies from around the world. How different people have led different changes in different fields, and what does it mean, entrepreneurship and innovation in the public sector in practice? We try to show you different case studies.
Yes, thank you. And I see the time is running very quickly, so I make a very brief review about our third module, which is economic policymaking in the digital age. So we will talk about Estonian, e-Estonian success story from the kitchen side, how it was made. We will talk about cybersecurity. We talk about digital public finance, etc., etc. All these practical issues public sector is dealing with, but with an Estonian view and practical examples. I cannot tell you more about it, but maybe a couple of words. What kind of methodologies do we use? What is our approach in teaching?
I would say that practicality is one of the key words, and definitely learning with the best and learning from the best is the key of a program itself. So in this way, it's a sort of elite. It's not only for elite, the program, but it's elite program from a perspective that we are really bringing in top-level experts from different countries, top-level practitioners as well as professors. So it's a Tartu University program, but we engage a lot of people from around the university and Europe, and even more widely, we have people from the UK, from the US, etc.
Yes.
Of course, the modularity of the program, but we said it includes 3 different nano programs, meaning that you will meet people who come to study also with nano programs. So we will have a sort of a perfect mix of different experiences inside the classroom, which is important, definitely.
Yes.
And then the program is such, it's surrounded by various international events that we are holding. For example, the Delta Friends Day, Delta Management Conference, the biggest business festival of the Baltics, Startup Day, which is annual business festival just next door to the Delta building. And perhaps finally, the Delta building, as you might have understood, is the Delta Management School is there, and we teach also economics. But we have also Institute of Computer Studies just next door. Now we have Institute of Mathematics and Statistics here now, and as well we have Institute of Technology and Robotics of the University of Tartu, meaning that you study actually around these people. And it's your opportunity to use it.
Okay, maybe just, I don't have time to talk about the details. Please stay tuned in our website and look the updated information about the program. The admission starts in September and the study program starts in February next year. But just as a final teaser to you, we have just signed the Memorandum of Understanding with the University of Toronto, where we start a program where we also will force you to develop the startups that try to do digital solutions for our society. We force you to consult them and work with them. So it is very much practical, hand-on public service development program. So stay tuned and see you hopefully next year.
Thank you very much, Ot and Kadri, for your discussion, for introducing your program. So if you have any questions about this program, I encourage you to leave your questions right now. And I'm pretty sure that if there are some questions left, you can always email to Kadri or Ot and ask them after the info session itself. So I guess it's the right time to open our Q&A session and then take the questions that we received from our participants of today's event. So the first question is going to be addressed to Melis. So it's a question about the career opportunities after graduating financial and actuarial engineering. So where can I work after graduation?
Address the topic as well. So the main places are also banks and insurance companies, and mainly from the point of view of the modeling. So you may be in a modeling team, model validation team, financial team, analytics team, these kinds of things. So you have the mathematical methods, and you have some knowledge for a practical setup where to use them as well.
The next question is actually addressed to Melis and Jan as well. So I cannot choose between quantitative economics and financial and actuarial engineering. Can I apply to both of them? What are the advantages of each program? Financial and actuarial engineering seems a bit harder. Maybe Jan, you can start, and then Melis.
Definitely, you can apply to both program, and during application, you need to indicate your ranking, like which is the first one you're ranking and which is the second one. And the same applies to also any other programs. So that's a very simple question, and you can talk to us if you are in doubt and so on. Now, also maybe yes, the quantitative economics, the requirements to previous studies in mathematics and statistics is a little bit lower, and I think we have 15 credits. In Melis program, it was about 24. So, but now also quantitative economics is quite mathematically also. So lots of mathematics.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think this is different indeed. So it's sort of more challenging, which is not bad. And I can actually cite former CEO of Ergo Insurance, Tarmo Koll, who I discussed about this at some time ago, and he said something like that in university it has to be more theoretical, because where would you get the theory or strong background if not in university? Because if you start working, then you're always going to apply all the stuff. So the more solid the more solid background you have before, the easier it will be afterwards.
May I also comment? Because I'm teaching in one of the programs. So what I would say, I think economics program is also more targeted into understanding what that means, what is behind the mathematics, because we use math as a tool to understand economic processes. So in my class, the math is not so difficult, but rather the students are struggling in understanding whatever does that mean. Okay, so if we make some changes in taxation, what happens? What does it mean? What is behind the numbers? So I think this is like much more economic meaning-oriented program. So it's up to you if you like that more, or you like more numbers, calculating, financial, maybe analysis in depth, but broader economic meaning if you like, then you should come to quantitative economics.
I had the same impression with computer science, or in particular data science people, when I was reviewing some master thesis and see that, okay, I can calculate this or I can calculate that, okay, very nice, but what does it mean? That was sometimes really a problem for computer science people, and that's actually what we try to teach in economics,
yes.
and where economists should be much stronger.
Yeah.
I would actually add that the inference part is a very important thing indeed. So because one thing is just calculating, but what we are also doing is what people tend to forget is what's the process of what are you actually doing. In a way, it's very easy to add your numbers or question in a software and get an answer and say that's it. But this is where it actually doesn't end. One thing is you should be very sure what did you actually ask, and then what you gonna do with the answer, because this is where it doesn't end.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for so detailed answer. We also have a question related to a new program. So when is the application deadline, and where can I find the information about the program?
The general information is on our School of Economics and Business Administration website already, but we will add more details because the application process is very short. It is 2 weeks in the beginning of September, very short, and we will advertise heavily because of this short period. And it is from 1st to 15th of September, and the program starts in February 2023. So stay tuned. We will advertise.
Thank you very much. We have a question to Jan about the motivation letter, and specifically to its video CV part and essay. Could you please tell more about it and maybe give some tips?
Basically, you can check the websites. There are quite a detailed description of what should be included in either of these. Basically, what are your previous studies related to mathematics and statistics? What are your career aspirations? Do you have any? What are your plans for master thesis and so on? And we always say that try to talk about yourself and not to have, let's say, about general statements what you found about Tartu University. But try to write about yourself. That is the most important thing.
Mm-hmm. Since we already touched the question about motivation letter, I see that there are more questions. So maybe, Melis, you can also comment a little bit how to write a successful motivation letter for your program.
Yeah, actually, this is why we created a short memo about it as well. So one thing, you should answer the main questions. So why are you going to the program? So what do you find appealing, and also describe what you have done before. And so this is sort of the main thing. So we can see, because as stated before, so we require math. So we don't want you to be struggling because the background isn't enough. So this is one thing. And the next thing is just explain why. So if there is always a competition, why should we choose you? So what makes you a good candidate? So this is a very, very common question for any motivation letter. So those are the main things.
Kadri or Ot, will the motivation letter will be also included to the admission process to the new program?
Absolutely. And we will, although, as Ot said, we will teach you a little bit about entrepreneurial storytelling, because obviously in public sector you have to convince everyone if you want to make some changes or new programs. But then in your motivation letter, you have to do a little bit storytelling about yourself, your interests, why you want this program, why you will suit to this program. So we are looking very much forward to having very nice stories about the potential public entrepreneurs.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Perhaps, just to add, that perhaps you can add something about what you will bring to the program. What is your profile? What is the added value by you to the program? Because as we have experienced people around you, everybody would contribute a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I can actually add a little bit. So one thing is the requirements, the course requirements. But if it's quite close there, then if you have a related background already in the field, so you have worked there, or you have taken any courses which are actually not in your academic transcript, those also can be taken into account. So we can consider them as a bonus for that. So we can see that the fit is better.
No, for instance, many students take online course, let's say Data Camp or Coursera could matter. Or for instance, let's say you fell short of our eligibility requirements regarding previous studies. Then you can also mention, let's say, some Coursera courses, for instance. And generally, as the motivation letter, anything that is important, let's say previous studies abroad in other universities, exchange semesters, or internships, or in particular internships that are relevant for the particular program. Let's say some analytical work, or let's say previous presentations in students' conferences, for instance. No, anything like this that could be relevant and distinguish you from the other applicants.
I guess also it opens another question about prerequisite courses to apply to quantitative economics or previous qualifications. Maybe Jan, you can also tell a little bit more about it.
No, shortly, we require previous studies in mathematics and statistics. And generally, we also looked on all quantitative subjects. Let's say if you studied, I don't know, physics in the past, that also matters. Or let's say somebody has very strong mathematics background, but not really so much in statistics. I will check the transcript, but that need not to be a problem. And we have also, in addition to economists, we have people from business studies. No, they manage quite okay. Don't be worried if you studied business, not economics. Or we had some of our best students came from computer science, and who are now like one of my previous master students, Diana Gabrielian, who is now my PhD student, doing PhD in economics. And we are also students from fields like previously studied engineering, for instance, and one of our best students actually studied previously sociology. So don't be worried if you come from some other fields and in economics. And as always said, that if you in doubt whether you satisfy our requirements, just send me your transcripts. I check your transcripts, and if something I don't understand, I will write back and ask maybe a couple of questions.
I guess Meelis already indicated the pre-required qualifications for Actuarial and Financial Engineering, and on the slide there were also the courses.
Yes, and I also agree to all what Jan just said, because this is a sort of same thing for us, and this is what we mentioned earlier, that if you come in a slightly different field, then you can just add extra from online courses. There's so many possibilities, and that can be taken into account.
What about our new program, Kadri and Ott? Would you have any requirements to a bachelor's or master's degree?
No, actually, we don't have field-wise any requirements. So you have to be, or you have to have master degree already, or bachelor degree with 5 years work experience. So these are the requirements actually, because you see in public sector, you actually have very different fields. So you have environmental, you have innovation, you have economic policy, you have social policy. So there can be people with various backgrounds, and very often it happens that as a young student, you actually do not think that you are going to work for a government. You know, you never think that you will be prime minister, right? But it happens somehow, right? And that you end up in working with government, and then you do not have very often these skills to do changes, to offer new innovations, to offer new public services, and this is the gap where we want to help you and give this economic meaning to these things.
Thank you very much. The next question is to Actuarial and Financial Engineering. I'm from a non-European Union country. Can I get a scholarship for this program?
The country was
non-European.
Not European. So I think it's in the scope. So if it's in European Union, then definitely. So all European Union countries. If this is.
Thank you very much. Next question we have to Jan. Thank you for your insights so far. I have a brief question. Can I, as a future one-semester exchange student, participate in some classes of the MA in Quantitative Economics?
Exchange, I'm not sure I understood the question, but definitely you can take, was the question that if you take a semester abroad and then also study in Tartu?
I think from my perspective, it's an exchange student who is coming to Tartu.
Oh, yes, definitely one can take, and actually exchange student in Tartu. Now you can also take any courses, but then you also need to check basically what you studied previously and how it matches your program. But definitely for exchange students, all quantitative economics program courses are opened. And so we have also the Erasmus students. General university, I think there is some list of courses that are available for Erasmus students, but that actually includes each and every quantitative economics course, so no problems.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. We have a question probably to Kadri. You have mentioned the collaboration with Toronto. Does it mean that we are going to receive a double degree and we'll spend half of our studies abroad?
No. Actually not, because, it is a one-year master program. The Memorandum of Understanding with Toronto concerns a creative destruction lab program. And this is actually something that you have in many universities no access to. So this is very top-level program which takes in startups all over the world, and our stream will be in societal solutions. So technology startups dealing with societal solutions. And now what happens is that the mentors and scientists come all over the world, from Toronto University, from United States, from University of Oxford, from HIC Paris, and they together with our master students help to shape the focus of these startups, help to improve their pitches, to get more funding, help to solidify their financial plans, etc., etc. So you will be working as a master student in helping these startups. So you will work for the top-level startups and get the experience.
Yeah, thank you very much.
I only wanted to add about the double degree programs. So that's MA Quantitative Economics. We are in the process of establishing double degree programs at Kent University in Belgium, which is actually quite top in university. I think in top 100 in world ranking. And we have also Erasmus Mundus master's program that is integrated with quantitative economics. Basically in this Erasmus Mundus international economics program, students study first in Bari, Italy, or Xiamen, China, then in Belgium, in Kent University, and then they can go either to Chile, Spain, or some other place. But Tartu was the most popular. So many of these EGE international economics students will also come to Tartu and also are integrated into quantitative economics.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. I guess Ott wanted to say something as well.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to Kadri that this University of Tartu is just one of the universities we are cooperating. So we are cooking the meal from different fields of knowledge and different knowledge hubs globally. For example, we have a program with Wharton Business School from University of Philadelphia, which is one of the #1 business schools. So depending on the area you are studying, we have connections to different foreign universities and kind of external professors who are teaching to you are also with foreign backgrounds from these universities. So don't be afraid of not receiving a double degree. Actually, you get more by coming to Tartu. And just to add to Meelis said that Tartu is a small town. Actually, it's a university town at its best. It's not a city. It's not London, but it's something like Boston. Or if you really want to spend your time surrounded by different other students. We have 2 big universities actually in Tartu. So there are a lot of students. It's basically a student town. So you will have your student life once you come there.
Yes, we also are hosting our...
Agreed.
Yes.
I just agreed, obviously.
We also hosting our discussion session with students from Quantitative Economics and Actuarial and Financial Engineering after this session. So they're going to share their experience, how they feel about Tartu and their life here as well. So yes, we can move to the next question. And the next question is about work experience. So is work experience in financial institutions taken into account during the admissions process? Maybe Meelis.
Well, again, as I mentioned, so it can support you. So especially if, say, the courses are, you're a little bit short in courses, then we can take that into account. And also, if the requirements are fulfilled, then the work experience in a related field adds together. So we ask for a motivation letter. In motivation letter, you explain what you have done. So if you also add this experience in there, then it sort of strengthens your position in that sense.
No, I can definitely add that mention any work experience. Now, of course, some students report some kind of volunteer activities or any work. Now, you can mention anything, but of course, it's most usually if it's somehow related to the goals of the program. But it could be also, let's say, past internships that should be mentioned in your CV.
We have also a question about scholarships for new program, if entrepreneurship program offers any scholarship or tuition waivers. And also another question, how much is the tuition fee?
Yes, I didn't have time to discuss the tuition fee. So the tuition fee for the whole program is actually 6,000 euros. So 1 year, 6,000 euros. So it is well placed in the middle of such competitive programs around Europe. So we are not too cheap, but we are also not too expensive. So we currently do not have any tuition waivers, but we are actually working very hard to get some partners who could provide scholarships for our students. And of course, since all the public sector agencies are looking for good workers, then maybe we are successful and can advertise specific scholarships as well.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. There is a question also about the GPA, if it's important in the application process and what average GPA should I have in order to apply. Maybe, Kadri, you can start. If it's going to be important for your program, the average grade from the previous education.
For our program, it's not going to be important. We will decide basically based on your experience, based on your motivation. And of course, if you have a master degree, then based on motivation letter only. So we will not look at grades. Yeah.
I would like also to add that we don't have a minimum GPA at the university, so you can apply to any program. However, for some programs, maybe Jan can continue if it's important.
GPA is important, but to the extent possible, we always try to look what is behind the GPA and be flexible. No, I look also not general GPA, but also let's say quantitative subject, or consider that. No, let's say if all grades are just passed, it looks a little bit suspicious. But let's say, if you have let's say 1 or 2 grades, it really doesn't matter. Like maybe you had some bad relations with some professor or something specific. No, that's not so important. So that we try to look always be also behind the grades to understand what is there, and not just look on only one number.
Yeah.
Meelis?
Well, this is also why we actually have the proportion of GPA is just 40% and the motivation letter is 60%. So we can take into account flexibly all the other considerations. I also want to say that although we don't have actually a minimum level of GPA, we actually have a minimum level of the total. So if the GPA is very low and also the motivation letter isn't doing very good, then there's still a possibility so you need to acquire a certain threshold there.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much for pointing it out. It's very important in the application process. So we have a question to Jan, to Quantitative Economics. Could you tell a little bit more about the courses that are taught within Quantitative Economics? Are there more discussion-based or lecture-based? How much practice will we have?
Yes. Basically, we try to start with basic courses in mathematical statistics that also taught by some colleagues of Meelis, and mathematics, because naturally we check his background, but still it's relevant to start from the basis, because you can't build the walls or the roof if you don't have the lower part of the house. Then after that we have courses, of course, in we start with econometrics versus microeconometrics and time series econometrics. Then we also first semester start on microeconomics, because it's also quite the basis courses, and so then we will move into macroeconomics and some other courses. And so already in second year is kind of a more election, like international trade, economic policy analysis, and so on. And also sometimes we try to make lectures more interesting. Sometimes we try to have also some visiting professors to have a little bit of change and maybe telling one or two lectures. Like in my course, we had like chief economist of our largest commercial banks, Swedbank, Tõnu Mertsina, talked basically what is going currently in the economy during COVID and so on. Then we had sometimes people from Eesti Bank, let's say last 2 years ago, actually the former governor or president of our central bank made introductory lecture on monetary policy. So I think it's not very many possibilities where a former governor former governor of the central bank teaches monetary policy, but we have had such cases. And so it's just some examples.
Mm-hmm. There is a very related question about Estonian language, if Estonian language is a part of the curriculum and if it's required to learn Estonian by graduating the program.
No, I can say that basically we are currently more and more encouraging international students to learn Estonian language. So taking word by word, it's not compulsory. Now I would word that it's a little bit, it depends, it's a little bit program specific also, but I would word that it's a little bit kind of a semi-compulsory. So that it's not really required, but you can take Estonian courses towards elective modules. So it differs across programs, but many programs have this approach. And generally, we have very many international companies in Estonia where working language is English. So it's in private sector, absolutely no problem, because many of these companies operate in many countries. Internal working language is English. Now it might be more of an issue if you're looking into public sector, where actually Estonian might be required, and where it has been in the past problem. Like one of our leading think tank, social science research, was managed by my brother, and he interviewed one of our graduates, and then tried to look at, okay, after 2 years you can't really speak Estonian, but try to have then to go to the public sector, it would be nice to have at least a little bit of, let's say, everyday spoken language or something like that. No, that's basically the public sector. But for the public sector, yes, some knowledge of Estonian might be useful. But in the private sector, in very many companies, internal working language is English, and then absolutely no problems if you don't know Estonian.
Mm-hmm. Maybe Kadri or Ot, you can also comment.
Yes, I can comment. In our program, the Estonian language course is elective, so you can take it. But we will put you together with Estonian students. So you will have a group of Estonian practitioners, Estonian students, and international students and international practitioners. So probably you will learn at least to talk a little bit. And of course, within 1 year, the expectations are not that high. But I think so far my experience with international students has been that they like to learn this new weird language, and they try to even speak to me in Estonian. So I'm very happy about that. So
I can also add one comment from my personal experience when I studied in Germany. Basically in Germany with 2 months I learned more German language than in Estonia with 3 years. So being here in the environment is really very efficient way to learn.
yes.
Yeah, definitely. And it's a good way to integrate in the society, especially depending on the career paths and plans after graduation. Meelis, do you have something to add? Oh, sorry, Ot, I'm sorry.
Yeah, just wanted to add that basically knowing some Estonian would help you also in pub crawling around Tartu. We have a lot of pubs as well, so it makes the social life much easier. And I have studied, for example, in Denmark. It's the same. I mean, I learned a little bit of Danish as well, and it made my life easier in Denmark. So don't be afraid of Estonian, but it's not a sort of compulsory that you need to be fluent in Estonian in order to get to study innovation in public sector, for example.
Thank you very much, Meelis.
Well, in our program, it's quite the same. So we have one elective Estonian course. You obviously can't learn all Estonian in one course, but this is just a starting point. You can take more. So it's sort of up to you. It's encouraged. It's not compulsory.
Mm-hmm. I guess we will take last question for this Q&A session, and the question will be about working and studying at the same time. So basically, can I work and study at the same time? Would you recommend it? And can I finance myself by working in Estonia? Maybe Meelis, if you can start.
Well, we sort of, because the situation is such that in our program, students already tend to study. So the students that come from our bachelors, they also get jobs in the end of bachelor. So then we assume that. So we're not particularly encouraging it. So I actually don't suggest to work with very, very high level. So let's say about partial up to 1/2 or so. But the tuition is organized in such a way that it's actually possible. So we have usually 3 days of tuition. So they are very tough days, but still it leaves you usually Monday and Friday to do other stuff.
Jan?
No, as I said, that's a reality that students work. As Meelis told, that sometimes as university professors, we don't encourage it, but on the other hand, we understand that this is a reality. And as to quantitative economics, now we always say that, let's say, first year is kind of more tough, and then it's less time. And actually, second year, it's already a little bit easier. It's more time also for working. And as said, Meelis said also that part-time work would be, of course, better, but it's one my student also claimed in Facebook that he has 2 jobs and still managed to complete all courses successfully and now doing thesis. And so some people are very, very capable. So
the more you do, the more you can manage. Kadri or Ot?
Yes, our program is actually meant for working people. So the sessions are mostly once in a month, 4 hard days in a row. And then, of course, if you have CDL sessions, so where you consult the startups, and we have, you can yourself, then in group works, in different discussions, you can determine your schedule. So it can be entirely on weekends or evenings, so as you decide. So yes, our program is meant for working people. And actually, we have 1-year program, but you can take it by parts or part-time. So you can actually have this 1-year program dragged into 1.5 years. So no pressure, because we understand that it is hard.
Thank you.
To add to,
yes.
To add to Kadri, as it's a mid-career program what we are having at the management school, then sometimes your employer might also finance your studies, or they have perhaps sent you to these studies. Yeah. Or if they want to upgrade your position at the ministry somewhere or in an international organization, they might finance it as well, and they might give you a part-time sabbatical or something that you can study, because you need to put some effort to studies as well, otherwise you won't get why you came.
Yes.
So the choice is yours, basically.
Definitely, but the studies should be in priority.
Absolutely.
Yes. So thank you very much, everyone, for being with us during this session. Thank you, our dear speakers, for presenting your programs. Please don't forget the application deadline for Quantitative Economics and Actuarial and Financial Engineering, which is in 2 weeks, and you can still apply by 15th of March. And don't forget to check in information about our new program and then apply in September and join us as well. So thank you for being with us. Thank you for asking your questions. We are going to follow up you all of the slides and recordings from today. And then if you still have questions remain, you still can contact our managers via email. And right now, please don't leave us, because shortly we are going to host a student discussion session, and we will see you soon.